Japanese supercar situation is incredible. I'm so glad that this video I made earlier this year ended up aging poorly, because Toyota CEO really meant it when he said no more boring cars, huh? So if you don't know, both Toyota and Lexus, functionally the same company essentially, will be making supercars very soon in the coming years. They are both confirmed for production and already deep into the prototyping phase because they have plenty of running models that are being given to plenty of press releases. This is already, I would say, between prototype and product, because like I said, they're deep in the prototyping phase. It's not like a one-off prototype that they have. They already have a GT3 car available to race in the next season. If you haven't been under a rock, then you might have already seen several of the videos of running models for the new Toyota GR-GT, and that makes me extremely ecstatic to hear that it actually can be heard. It has a twin-turbo hot V8 setup, and it sounds amazing. I love it. Regarding price, I'm hearing all kinds of numbers. Some really credible sources like Top Gear are quoting as low as 100 grand. A lot of people are quoting around the 200 grand mark, and then there are even some rumors going north 400 grand. It seems that the most common one is going to be somewhere around the 200 grand mark. No matter what, it seems we've all accepted this is going to be a six-figure supercar. Brother, I'm not even mad if this thing costs like around 200 grand, because if Ford could charge 500 grand for their twin turbo V6 for their Ford GT that also shares its engine with a ton of other models nowadays, I think Toyota has earned the right to sell this twin turbo V8 for somewhere around 200 grand easily. Obviously, I would prefer if it was cheaper, but the point I'm saying is, like, this is confirmed to not be a mega limited production car, so it's not going to have like a 1 or 2 year run. Hopefully it has like a yearly production cycle that I assume that they're prepared to make this GR-GT for at least one whole generation, which means it can last anywhere from like 5 to 9 years, maybe even 10. Like, think of like the Gen 1 NSX, or like, you know, the older Mark IV Supras and FD-RX-7s and stuff like that. And that's really good, because that means that it's more of like a Japanese 911 Turbo or Corvette Z06 in pricing equivalent, if that's the case, where it's not like a mega rare supercar, but also not a super common sports car like obviously the GR Supra like kind of already is getting. And I think that's a very comfortable category for this GR-GT to exist in. When something's only got 500 models around, you gotta know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to even get into a dealership to even put an order in for those kinds of cars. And I think that is disheartening for a car guy, whereas the GR-GTs, they're just gonna have it on Toyota dealers and we're gonna see them sooner than later. Super awesome. They're not gonna have a ton of them, but you will be able to find one. Super cool car to get. Not to say that this car is ordinary by any means, just because it's Toyota, because inside and out, it is stunningly engineered. It's got a lightweight chassis, carbon fiber drive shaft, beautiful twin turbo hot V8 design, so they incorporated the turbos differently. I'm not going to explain it here, I'm just going to put a picture of it. Point is, like, this is packaged in a front engine rear wheel drive layout, which is a classic iconic sports car layout, right? And personally, I still think rear wheel drive is best wheel drive. I think it is one of the most engaging setups. It's just exciting. It is kind of a hybrid, and I really do mean kind of here. So it features a single electric motor, so I guess by definition that makes it a hybrid, but it's mostly still engine power, and I believe the engine is what's charging that motor. Like, I remember the Porsche 918 could drive with its electric motor only. It was like maybe I think 30-50 miles on it. So this car probably might be a very similar case where the hybrid is only there to ease the car through emissions, to kind of just give it an extra long range, to give it its MPG what it needs to pass those standards. It does probably give a little bit of power, which is why it thankfully still makes a very formidable 650 horsepower and 627 torque, with rumors on the horizon of a higher performance model that will make upwards of 850, or who knows, we'll get there when we get there. It'll make a lot of power apparently, and it's going to be clearly one of the most powerful OEM Toyotas, much less OEM Japanese car in general, ever to be sold. Obviously, this is not counting like modded Japanese cars or tuning companies, or again, one-off concepts. This is a semi-mass produced production car that has these numbers.
I'm here to save you. You crying?
we might officially be on the verge of a new JDM Golden Age, and that's exciting to be part of. If the Nissan R36 and Mazda's new rotary actually end up being produced this decade, like both those companies are promising, then we are so back. The fact that Toyota is giving us not one, but two supercars in the form of the Lexus and obviously the GR GT, just insane, right? Toyota is hard carrying Japan's supercar industry right now, and this is absolutely play of the decade. Amazing job, Toyota engineers, because genuinely I was kind of frightened for Japan and their philosophy towards the creation of high performance sports cars or even entry-level supercars, because Japan obviously discontinued the GTR last year. If they assemble the Avengers and get all the JDM Golden Age cars back, this is a W. This is going to be amazing. And this further proves my point when I was talking about why like countries need supercars and national pride and blah blah blah. I refuse to believe I'm wrong. I absolutely think that stance is still true. I'm so tired of reading comments from people who are like, supercars are pointless. Slow, normal economy cars sell more. That's why Japan makes them, because Japan doesn't need to fear China or Korea being better than them because they already know that they're better than them. Prove it. Talk is cheap and confidence is fading. People called me delusional for my Japanese supercar video, saying that China could never come close to Japanese performance, which is why Japan will never have to worry about them. Yet later this same year, China now has the fastest car in the world. They also have the fastest EV around the Nürburgring, which also, by the way, is faster than any Japanese car ever to lap the Nürburgring. I'm sick of weebs and place Japan glazers engaging the Gluck Gluck 9000 as they think their precious anime land is the best in East Asia merely by existing. I love Japan enough that I expect better of them. Shouldn't the idea of them approaching that peak be exciting? Shouldn't we want them to do better, especially when competition as stiff as China arrives? Isn't it exciting that the Toyota GR GT as well as the new Lexus EV might actually get a sub 7 minute? In fact, if you're watching this, any Japanese engineers, get it under, especially the Lexus EV, because wouldn't it be so cool to break China's EV record? Take it back, let them know that you've got it. So I already mentioned this in the video talking about China's new Yangwang. When a company and a country start soaring because of their success, you gotta fly wing to wing with your competitors. As an American, personally, it still kind of makes me a bit angry that I feel like American car companies aren't trying as hard as they should be to compete with Chinese car companies and are doing the whole tail between their legs things. And at the start of this year, I was fearful that Japan was gonna go down the same route, but I'm genuinely happy to see that they're like, nah, they're soaring, I'm gonna soar too. We're gonna fly wingtip to wingtip. And that is how competition is made. That's how innovation is born. You acknowledge your competitors, you're happy for them, you're excited for them, and you join them up in the sky. You don't just be some negative Nancy on the ground making up excuses. But I'm so tired and so fatigued by this, we don't need supercars because insert blah, 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 blah BS. Because I'm tired of consumers wanting less innovations from all companies, by the way, whether it's phones, graphic cards, video games, cars, and so on. But even to non-car people, not just car people, supercars have changed the world and have changed even their grocery getter more than they could ever realize. Supercars benefit consumers, screw the shareholders. So I touched on this in my Why Japan Needs a Supercar video a bit, but there comes a point where we as a society need to realize companies are meant to motivate talented engineers to shine and create good products for consumers to be motivated to actually enjoy and, more importantly, buy. Shareholders are the last chain to receive extra profits, or at least that's how capitalism worked in the post-World War II era. But lately, companies decided that stressing their employees with no benefits, then squeezing consumers dry just to please shareholders who are only really going to be loyal for the next 3 months quarter by quarter was somehow more important than keeping dedicated employees and earning lifelong customers. And all of that in the first place gives your company the opportunity to even have shareholders to begin with. Drew Godin kind of has a video that talks about when this flip happened, where people started to care more about greed and the select few instead of the masses. But the point I want to get back to is the technology from supercars has statistically been proven to trickle down. From a decades-long / societal benefit standpoint, they have been a net positive to society. Yes, these showboating, loud sports cars are the only reason we have a lot of the innovations in safety technology we even have, even in SUVs, crossovers, and normal-ass grocery getters like the Honda Civic and blah, 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 blah. Literal engines. And we see this again with the third generation Ford GT, where its EcoBoost V6, again, made as a literal supercar engine, detuned versions of it also trickle down to several trucks and cars for the rest of Ford's lineup. So the customer will someday get all this new technology featured in supercars, as statistically proven by all the examples that I've shown before, and those are just a handful. There's plenty of other examples where the technology made it downwards, and sooner or later, either indirectly in the form of minor tweaks to suspension, chassis rigidity, increased safety features, or directly, as in the literal engine from the supercar, these customers will someday get the technology that was in the supercar, even in their Honda Accord. And again, could those extra hundreds of millions of dollars spent on R&D for developing a couple thousand to maybe 10,000 supercars been better off given to the shareholders instead for a few quarterly jerk-off sessions? Sure, but again, when it comes to decades-long stretched benefits and the company's overall well-being and the societal net positive of making a lot of the safety advancements that cars have had as a result of supercars, in my opinion, is priceless. Of course, that takes the CEO with some level of morality to see that trade-off. We're kind of losing those, but hey, shout out Toyota CEO. It's almost like the entire point of capitalism was to start companies that focus on making products that pleased consumers and not investors. But short-term brain rot has now reached the corporate executive level, and they forgot how this whole system works. It is beautiful, fight me. While the Lexus is being praised for its elegant and luxurious curves, the Toyota GR-GT is catching a lot of hate online for looking ugly. I don't remotely see with my two functioning eyes how this GR-GT is ugly. Maybe it's not your thing, all right? Anyways, this is a front-engine V8, obviously, so of course it's gonna have a long hood. It's not just there for kicks and giggles, it had to have one, and from a design choice, I understand it. I think maybe Japan wanted to finally deviate away from making front-engine V6s like they always do. They wanted to try something a bit bigger, and in this particular case, it really helps elevate it being a supercar, because I'm kind of getting tired of every new supercar being a V6 because they're struggling to pass emissions, so I'm glad that they figured out a way to, attach a little electrical motor and give it this V8, because it is more supercar-y because of it. As an Asian and an American, to me, this is just a love letter to the type of cars that I've always loved my entire life, which is the pure, raw, front engine, long wheelbase, rear wheel drive, big stonking V8, big angular, muscular hood and body and design language. It's just amazing. And to see this come out of Japan is just, it's shocking, and I'm not even disappointed, because lately it seems like America doesn't even want to make American styled cars anymore. Have you seen how many like so many American car companies aren't even car companies anymore? They just make SUVs and crossovers instead. Yes, I know the Ford Mustang exists. No, it is not on the same level as this. Yes, I know the Corvette exists, but it is mid-engine. It's a good car, great car in fact. It being mid-engine has de facto made it higher performance in the terms of cornering, but there's just something so special. I'm telling you. I'm actually more, this is genuinely me not lying, and I told this to my brother, and it is crazy, because this is someone who reputation on YouTube for being more of a American car lover instead of a Japanese car lover, but I unironically mean this with all of my heart. I'm more excited for this Toyota than I am for the Corvette CA, any model of CA. Even though I've owned a C7 Z6, even though I've owned a Ford Mustang, even though I own American motorcycles, this is a foreign car that hits all the right notes that I'm actually more excited about, because while I think the new Corvette C8 is an amazing car, my heart yearns for that front engine V8 quad exhaust boxy rear wheel drive design. I actually could see myself buying this car. That's actually how excited I am for it, because anyways, this is also not the first time that a Japanese designer has gone with a more boxy, more muscular design language. In fact, one of the most jizzed upon JDM vehicles of all time, the Nissan R34, also features a boxy, angular, and long design. And when it first released, people ridiculed it in the late 90s for being too heavy and too square looking, and don't lie to me though, nowadays, hardly anyone alive thinks that car's design is atrocious by any means. So it's always one of those moments where I think this GR-GT will be a future classic, just like the LFA and just like all the other JDM icons that have ascended towards that legendary status post-mortem long after they've been discontinued. I'm calling it right now. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'm now going to become a Nigerian prince and email some old people so I can have the money needed to buy this GRGT when it launches. Thanks for watching, check out my shorts if you haven't, and subscribe for more Situations updates. I'll see y'all next time. Blade Angel out.